under the sea, darling, it's better down where it's wetter, take it from me. Okay, before you instantly unsubscribe, seriously, there's a new French movie on Netflix called No Limit. It looks at this type of diving called no limit diving. Go figure where they got that title. So how is it? When Roxana meets world champion freediver Pascal, she falls head over heels in love. She becomes both lover and student as Pascal initiates her into an extreme sport that's enthralling and death-defying. Moving from one competition to the next in dive locations all across the world, Roxana begins to push limit after limit, wholly consumed in the throes of this passionate affair. But where will it end? This French drama is inspired by a true story, but I'm not sure where the line between fact and fiction crosses, so it's safer to approach this simply as a fictional drama that may have influences from the real world. We follow Roxana, a young woman who's been diving in the ocean for the majority of her life. She sees an ad for a free diving class, and once she takes the course, she gets involved with the world champion who's leading the class. Now, Roxana is then inspired to join Pascal's team, which then piques her interest in trying out competitive diving for herself. Now, part of the romance angle in this story feels very rushed. The characters barely meet, and then they're instantly a couple. I mean, if we look at this more as a fling, I think it makes more sense. But the narrative places our characters into a relationship very early on in the film. So we just go with it and watch their passion play out, both in and out of the water. Roxana comes across as sort of a listless character. She is searching for contentedness, and she believes that she's found it through diving competitions and her relationship with Pascal. She has an intriguing relationship also with her mom, and the brief glimpses and interactions that we get, I think, are intriguing. There's an antagonism present that is very powerful, and while at first it doesn't really make sense, later in the story we do get more background that help to show us what drives Roxana and then has also influenced the relationship with her mom. Now, there's a level of dread or darkness that begins to seep into the story the more that we learn about Roxana, but it's also mixed with some wonderful character development. And the info that we get is shared intimately, which then drastically increased my concern for her character. This story does an excellent job of showcasing and highlighting the obsession of pursuing extremes, but also the pursuit of dreams just in and of themselves. The obsession that is displayed is anxious and it's even sad. And there's a level of self-destruction that is really tough to watch, but it's not to the Leaving Las Vegas level of self-destruction. I mean, this focus, though, does help to create some very compelling drama throughout the film. And the obsession the narrative looks at isn't relegated solely to Roxana. Pascal is also an obsessive character. But there's this dark angle of control that we see in him. And really, I mean, control is another theme of the entire movie. Characters seeking to control destiny, success, relationships, outcomes, and then life in general. But there are times that we also see physical manifestations of control within Pascal that are somewhat very disturbing. The control also takes the form of manipulation within the narrative, which I think is even more troubling. And the manipulation gives the sense that really bad things are yet to come. And I love that type of anxious unease that's created. Now, I want to say that the characters are complex and mysterious, but really only Roxana is complex. Pascal seems like he is, but in reality, he's very one-dimensional. He's obsessed and on a downward trajectory. And because of this, he's arrogant and selfish, but absolutely driven to succeed. And he's a tough one to relate to or even want to root for. But there is a time, despite all of his flaws, that I felt brief sympathy for him, despite not wanting to or him even deserving it. Now, this is a beautiful film to view. The camera work puts us into some very claustrophobic and terrifying situations. At least I think they are. And yet they're still utterly peaceful despite the danger or the harrowing sequences. And the cinematography captures stunning vistas and landscapes, as well as just the sweeping ocean. And then it showcases them in a way that makes just everything we see very expansive. So it creates a sense of solitude, but also alienation. And there's a line in the movie where the characters describe the no-limit dive as the loneliest team sport. And there are some haunting shots as we watch the divers just descend down into the depths of the water. They're being swallowed by the darkness. It's isolating and freaky, and the tension mounts through the quiet and uneasy scenes. Now, this is just short of 2 hours, and while it is slower in the presentation, it isn't boring by any means. The drama that unfolds builds patiently, but it's steady, resulting in a very impactful climax. And there's also a devious mystery that popped into my head when it came to some of the circumstances and outcomes of the story. Now, I can certainly make an argument about how the outcome came about, because I do believe that there are character clues that clearly define the possibility, even if it's not concretely spelled out for us. So that was clear as mud, right? Well, I mean, what I'm referring to could be a massive spoiler, so I'm just going to leave it there. And then once you've watched, it's probably going to make a whole lot more sense. So overall, No Limit is an engaging and slow burn relationship drama, mixing beautiful cinematography with tense and patient storytelling. The themes of obsession and control are captivating, but also tense with apprehension. The narrative is effective in building an atmosphere that could be both thrilling and uneasy at the same time, all while creating flawed characters that are difficult to ignore. There's a lot of sex and nudity, some profanity, and barely any violence. I give No Limit 4 out of 5 couches. So have you ever gone diving or snorkeling? If you have, what is the coolest thing that you've ever seen while underwater? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.